On a mission, we are running. I am meeting a friend. I have an appointment in 85 minutes. So we're going to try and keep it under an hour, if possible, in this one-of-a-kind show broadcast around the world. Artist Journal, July 31st, 2024, broadcasting from Berlin, Germany on a beautiful, sunny summer day. My name's Adrian Pocobelli. Continuing. So, very challenging work, I would argue, I am going to present here for you today, but when you consume as much as we do on this show, I'd say, or just if you're paying attention online at your Instagram, and I do highly recommend X, for those that are looking to actually get involved in this scene. X is very important, formerly known as Twitter. I remember when I was onboarded to Super Rare, one of the first things they'd tell you, they have a little meeting and to kind of, get you started and get you, one of the things is most of the digital art collectors are on X. Kind of important information. So I'm getting kind of more and more comments from people who are interested in this scene and are trying to figure out how it works, the minting. I want to put out some videos on that. As far as I can. I've been trying to put out how to inscribe on Bitcoin for the last 3 weeks, but it's always just a race against the clock over here. But I really want to put that together. But one thing you can do in the meantime is get signed up on X, because there's a lot of great art there that you're not going to come across on Instagram. And again, back to our discussion earlier, who's going to websites anymore? Here and there, but really from the socials, interestingly. And arguably Object, where this work here is on a social, is a social network. And that's kind of actually an increasing discussion here. Anyways, so here is this incredible art. Let me actually get the artist here. This is on object.com. As you can see, Mishi Asu. And actually, we're going to look at the full name. I think so. This is the name of the artist on Object. Strolling on Air, July 29th. So 48 to 72 hours ago. Let me show you some challenging art. Let me get feels very. Here we go. I've discussed the avant-garde here with Robert Wilson, Philip Glass doing Einstein on the Beach. And there's something very kind of wonderful about this. And again, when you consume as many images as we do here, what's interesting is this is I think where some, obscurity, which I often criticize in the art scene. This is where some of the obscurity comes from, where if you've been to, to take the contemporary art world, if you've been to a million art fairs, you've gone to all the galleries in New York a million times, and it's like your job, all of a sudden, more challenging artworks start to have a kind of resonance. Like people who are really, as I like to, pushing the aesthetic, the frontiers of aesthetics becomes its own thing. So when I first came in the scene, I might have saw something like this and thought, how weird is this? Or just kind of unmoved by it. But when I see it now, I go, woo, this is different. This is kind of exciting over here. Who's this? And I think it was Curio Fringe. Excellent. I don't know if Curio would call themselves a curator, but I would call them an excellent curator, someone to follow on X. If you're looking for kind of challenging art, I would say that's the first name that comes to mind. So here is Mishi Asu's page, and I brought up a few of the works here. But you're seeing this kind of fuzzy yellow and green palette, but also other works too here. So I brought up a few of these. Some of them have audio, some of them don't. Movies. I mean, I would say largely, 1 of 1 for 11 Tezos. I mean, that's $8. Another one for 10. I'll probably pick up a few of these. Hopefully, if I finish this show on time, where I can actually, before I hit publish on this video. So there's really great work here. So let's look at some of it. So here's just to give you some background, here's the object profile. Here's the Twitter. Mishi Asu, lukewarm image of mind. You know, when I start to think of like the challenging nature of Nuv 1914's work, of Zwozo's work, of, you could argue, Hasdrubal Waffle's work, of Curio Fringe's work, what I sometimes like to call here indie visual art, in the same way that we might have thought of indie, music scene, even though I never really used the word indie. That kind of came after. For me, it was always new wave was my indie. So, Devo, again, I think research publications, William Burroughs, the whole, 80s counterculture. Anyways, let's not get off topic here. So here's Mishi Asu, and looking at the feed, you're actually going to get a little revelation here. So interesting, completely different work here. Today's Anxiety, May 31st, pinned, interestingly, Dan Kelly. So we've seen Dan Kelly before. And look at this kind of filter. But you're going to start seeing another Dan Kelly. Oh, there's Little Cakes. Really cool work here using Runway ML. And then, okay, the work here. And then there's Mumble Boy. So you start to actually be able to ground the artist by looking at their feed a little bit. And look at who you find here. A retweet of Little Cakes tweeting a Hasdrubal Waffle work, which we looked at last episode. So and then again, Curio Fringe. How did I learn about Curio Fringe? I think it was Waffles that was saying how, or maybe I was looking at a work on the show and Waffles was saying, big influence on a lot of us, Curio Fringe. So here's the website. So Asuka Mishihiro. I assume it sounds Japanese. I'm not an expert, but look at this website. I assume the broken images are on purpose. They look fabulous. I hope it is. I assume it is. This is my virtual portfolio site. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks. And here, more lovely broken images here. Not sure, and you see. So, I think we could call a pretty serious artist here. You might have looked at those initial works and go, okay, someone just being weird here. But no, this person is quite serious, as you can see here. List of works even. Look at this. And maybe the broken images are for real. Too bad. Well, yeah, so we'll just leave that open here. I'm going to show you some more of their work, though, as we continue here. So 1 of 1 available for 10 Tezos. A still image here. Weirdly, and I, in a sense, apologies to the artist, as I say, weirdly, I find this so powerful. But I mean, this is really pushing aesthetic expectations, right? I mean, if you show this, in a sense, to a certain degree, this is not typical fare for the cover of the newspaper, The Imagination. As I always like to say, you want kind of something bright, shiny, easy to understand. This is not easy to understand, in my opinion. This is kind of obscure, kind of fuzzy, not easy, challenging, as I like to say here. So, and largely, undiscovered, I would say, as far as we see all these 1 of 1s for 7 Tezos in the greenhouse. Another one. And here's another one, a movie, Eye Temperature. This came out July 28th, so a day before that initial one. Has a similar kind of sound vibe to Zwozo. It's like, again, when you're consuming as many images as we are, I have a feeling a lot of the people that regularly watch this show are going to be very excited by this work. Whereas if you're coming here for the first time, you might be like, what is going on over here? What are these guys so excited about? Right? But again, so it's kind of back to acquired, we're developing an aesthetic to a certain degree, appreciation for these artists over time. Which is why I am starting with it. It merits it. And look at these, again, there's a lot of outrageous decisions here. This kind of spectrum, rainbow, you have to ask yourself, artist or not, would I ever make something like this? And I think of Nuv 1914, the sheer originality and persistence. Consistency is what I'm trying to say. It looks like persistence here too. Here's another one, Good Night. Also available. 10 Tezos. So I'm going to pick up a couple of these. warn you, look at the music. Love the kind of piano thing. Beautiful. Wish it was louder. Beautiful, beautiful. And here's another one. This is just a GIF. Mirror of conversation. So communication reflection also available. 1 of 1 for 10. I mean, you almost wonder, like, sometimes I think to myself, like, there is this curio fringe, I don't think so. But you do start to, it looks like the website, there's everything we just saw. Like, I mean, this is, again, startlingly original work. Here's another one. Also available. All available. Edition of 1, 10 Tezos. One of these is not. Unfortunately, wait till you see this one. This is probably my favorite. The music. Wish I could make it go louder. Maybe. No, that's full blast. Love the vibe here. Like, loving the vibe. Would love to own this. Amelia Versace. Nice work, Amelia Versace, and it looks like AV Collection. And only a Tezos. Summer Pool. And beautiful work, July 6th. Here's Dance of Consciousness, also available, edition of 1. So you see kind of a different kind of look here in the work. And also, now there was one. Did we get everything? I think we did. I think Summer Pool was the last one. So just, so the artist, Asuka Michihiro. Not too much information on X, but here it is on X. So if you're new to X, here's a first follow for you to the art scene on X. There's an awesome first follow for you. You will learn a lot from these kinds of accounts. So I think that's it. Yeah, we started with the new one. Okay, let's continue. Big show today. So it's a busy day over here. Runetoon has just put on a show a couple of weeks ago in Omaha, Nebraska, with a partner, actually. So, I wish, I'll mention it with Kavanaugh 121, who had to start a new account, by the way. So give them a follow. I want to do more digital art shows. So we're going to talk about this art show that Runetoon and Kavanaugh 121 did in Omaha, Nebraska. And they did quite a beautiful job of it. They said there were a ton of people, which is quite interesting. They're probably thrilled to have like a cool, edgy, digital art show, but done with a lot of care here. As you see these old kind of TVs, monitors, look at all these people. Great shots here. And look at this. So people just probably happy to see something completely different. So we're going to talk about this show that happened in Omaha, Nebraska, the home of Warren Buffett, as I like to say. Yeah, so hilarious and beautiful. So that's coming up. Also new work by Runetoon here, Portal. This came out taking the original Portal and turning it into a GIF. So interesting. I think turning a previous work and adding animation. And this is an edition of 10 and sold out. Or at least the 4 that were available sold out at 7 Tezos. Actually, no, sorry, still available. 7 Tezos each. Portal on object.com. And thank you for the sale for this promoted story to First Syndrome. This is actually, you can't, I think it's censored because I think Object's algorithm thinks there's like too much flesh here. So thank you for the person putting their faith or changing their settings in their browser for picking up this work here. Still 6 left. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, let me get the name again. First Syndrome. Thank you for the collect. Let's look at comments here on last show that, where we continued the breakthrough there on these image-making technologies. Let's see. Misty Art. Found this online. This is super interesting. Found this channel recently and started watching these in the background while doing art. Yeah, I think a lot of people do. interestingly. I find it impossible to do video and art at the same time, but I'm thrilled that other people can. I've learned so much about NFTs and the online modern art scene. I'm not sure what people call this sort of thing. You know what we call it? We haven't called it this for a while. At least what I call it. I call it the visual arts underground. That's what it is. It's basically, to me, it's kind of in my mind, and maybe this never happens, it's kind of like the next big thing to a certain degree, this art. And as you see, I mean, as we saw with Mishi Asu, I mean, here you have this refined artist putting out these interesting works. Like, that's where they are. They're in this little ecosystem where you can sell them for crypto. Anyway, let's continue. I'd have never learned about any of these artists or the community behind them if it wasn't for these videos. Yeah, it's probably part of the reason why I actually started doing this. I was like, this is like this is totally untapped. Anyway, loving the videos. I'm definitely subscribing, and I'm definitely going to attempt to make an NFT collection one day if I can figure all this out. So I'm really glad you mentioned that, if I can figure all this out. So there are wallets. Start with the wallet, is what I would say, because who knows when I make a video. Could be tomorrow, could be a year from now. Hopefully it'll be in a week or something like that. There are wallets, and what's a famous Kukai wallet, and there's also there's one that starts with Temple. Kukai and Temple are good places to start for Tezos, which is where object.com, where you can buy and sell. Generally, just finally, you need to go on Binance or Coinbase to get your fiat in. You still need to go to these big centralized exchanges, generally. Convert it over from your fiat that you've basically transferred over to Coinbase or Binance, and from there you can buy Tezos, and then you send it to your digital wallet. That's how it works. But of course, and there's actually a ton of demos, I'm sure, on YouTube, but I'll probably put something out, and also how to do it on Bitcoin, which is pretty exciting. Anyway, really, I love comments like that. It makes me really excited. Marcel Munciano. For sure, Acumparts having a show even tomorrow in Twitter and every month in their meta galleries, made like a new type of art piece. All soon will be the auction of their meta galleries. So we always welcome you, dear Poco, in our Twitter spaces to talk about real digital artists participating in it every time, and curators like Elna Frederick and Françoise Gamma last auction. So yeah, definitely. I think I put a reminder in it. So I'll keep putting reminders as I see Acumparts putting out spaces. P.S. Tomorrow will be, I put a reminder. I think I was out. I can't remember what I was doing. Actually, where was I? It's been a busy... Oh, I was at the gym. I went to 2 gym classes in a row. That was awesome. I felt so good. I was in the gym. Anyways, thank you for the invite, and I'll keep my eyes open. P.S. Tomorrow will be Acumpart's first year birthday Twitter Spaces and recent auction with the great Martin Bruce and all other OG artists. Spiegel will also speak, so welcome. Thank you so much. And here's Sabato actually added. Acumparts is probably the most underrated digital gallery in this space, so high praise from Sabato. They put so much care in making the virtual galleries and are an all-around great group to work with. Nothing but love for Acumparts. I have to, I don't know too much about them, but I have seen them, and you gotta love the curation. Like, it looks great to me. So it just looks awesome. Easy to like, let's put it that way. So again, very interesting. Retro Manny, the show feels like the new meta is having your artwork criticized by Artist Journal viewers and then you picking that criticism apart. Agreed with your response, by the way. Looking forward to the day my stuff is insulted for being childish and derivative garbage. Indeed. There's no such thing as bad publicity. At the end of the day, it's sort of like, classic, I think it was in The Philosophy of Andy Warhol, From A to B and Back Again, if I remember the title right. There's, classic New York tabloid mindset is, there's no such thing as, it's not what they say about you, it's how many inches do they write about you, how many inches of text, how long is the article about you. Like, this is what I'd call New York PR thinking. So you're absolutely right, like in a very real way, right? So I'll do my best there, Manny, to create controversy around your work. And also, a lot of comments last show. Thank you for the math. These are good numbers right now. for these are really good numbers for election season. So thank you for the 11 bookmarks is wonderful. 53 retweets, really nice. Tukes, the great Tukes, amazing as usual. Thank you, Tukes. Skull Takes, great show. I don't mind cheap mint platforms like Zora and Rodeo. I think people should tailor their time accordingly. Maybe don't mint finished work. In the physical realm, we have stickers, t-shirts, postcards for cheap. These platforms feel like the digital equivalent. Fair enough. Fair enough. We're going to come back to this later in the tabs here. So let's leave this kind of free mint meta discussion till then. But let's keep it in mind as well. And as I said, I think you should be able to mint wherever you want without judgment. Kels, great show, Adrian. Admirable how you go all in on thoughtful replies like the one on Santiago's recent piece. Feel better soon. Thank you, and feeling much better. We'll see how we'll see if the screen unfreezes here. Thank you, Kels. And Kels just put out a video, by the way. Name of artist is Santiago Ni Marquez. So I believe, not sure how Santiago says his name in speaking or officially. He should have the comment to that specific reality at the time of his choosing. So here is the actual name of the artist for that person that was asking, I believe, on YouTube. And actually they replied. We'll get back to that in a second. So there is the name, Santiago Ni Marquez. K's Works, also known as Oyaniyi Coyote. Marvelous watch as always, and thank you so much for the feature. Much appreciated. I do resonate with artists being technologists, making images and creating an effect, one that can only be triggered by viewing their work. I do enjoy your style of analyzing the pieces. Thank you. I believe you can go deeper if you choose to, and you do so in some instances, but like you said, it defeats the purpose of your journal and will take much longer than an hour, absolutely. And I'd rather kind of cover a lot of what's amazing out there than, again, we made the points last episode, thank you. And yes, digital art has come a long way to the extent that it is almost indistinguishable from traditional art, and artists, me included, have begun to experiment with a more textured finish as compared to a more refined and blended look that characterized digital art. It's fun blurring the lines, experimenting, and exploring what's possible. Digital art has so much potential. I totally agree. I think we're just scratching the surface, so to speak, of digital art. In a sense, no pun intended, with all the discussion of texture. We are just scratching the surface here of what's possible. Like, I see it as an artist. The possibilities are, endless here. Like, they multiply, every software multiplying against, you could combine two softwares at random and start coming up with a new process, a new image making technology, as we were discussing. Retromania, it happened. Santiago has finally entered the zeitgeist in that long comment. King Slime, I like how a guy critiquing art on Tezos has the ability to comment on how they believe 0-1 isn't growing. So this is interesting. So I just haven't seen anything on 0-1, which is why I was assuming it isn't growing. But as I say here, fair enough if it's growing. And then 0-1 chimed in, actually. Mobile app has created a lot of new and renewed engagement. Many global new users joining and over 1,000 NFTs created every day. Why not give it a try? I'm not huge, and we'll discuss the free mint thing. I mean, put it this way. I think it's a really special thing that digital artists can get paid for their work and are being paid for their work the last 2 or 3 years. But I don't think we should take it for granted at all that it will always remain this way. So I'm not huge on, let's just give the art away. Whatever, 0-1 has its own meta with like trading and its own thing, and that's cool and fine, right? Same with Rodeo. Nothing against anyone. But I don't think it should be taken for granted that people will keep getting paid for their digital art. So I think it's, so that's kind of, I'm not dying to, in a sense, but I appreciate that, and it's really awesome to hear from 0-1 and King Slime. Fair enough. Maybe it's huge, 0-1. I'm not seeing anything on Twitter, though, just across my feed, and that could just be my feed. But thank you, and congratulations on the app. Marcel Munciano, that's so great beginning of the show today. Dear Poco, we're always welcome on Conversation Una Arts, thank you. Show tomorrow birthday. Thank you, Marcel. And Heart of the Computer Era. We have a beautiful work, actually, from that show. And here are all the speakers and everything. And there it is. 31, only 31 tuned in. This is a crime. It's summer. That's what I would say. So, yeah. But I thank you for the invite. And please feel free to message next time you have a show. I will do my best to attend. Very cool show. We have another work. I think it's Ugo Digi with a fantastic work this episode from that show that Arts did. Rural Idol found the seed phrase to my old psychedelic wallet. So over to the community. So people posting their work here. Rural Idol, who we've had on the spaces, found the seed phrase to my old psychedelic wallet. Finger-painted mobile works from 2022, idly made during Discord and Zoom calls. So very cool. Here, let's just take a quick look. And Taya is loading up so much better. So very cool. So it looks like maybe this is made. And is this made on phone? First painted mobile works. Very cool. I still think this is classic. As many of you know, I've worked on the phone a ton. It's still my favorite tool. And one of the reasons I like it is because I feel like the composition, by virtue of the small canvas, but that you can zoom in, almost infinitely to a very large degree, it creates a fresh compositional style, and you see it here. You see how this is like, if you were working on a 2 meter by 2 meter painting, would Rural Idol have done this? Probably not, I would argue. Whereas if it's on a tiny thing, then it's just like do, and then just do, or I'll do this at the bottom, and there's your work. So you see how the scale of your canvas changes, but with digital, you can still make it huge, and you can make this the side of a wall. So I continue to be super excited with just mobile and the freshness of how it looks. So thank you for posting that. Ilya Bliznets, hey fam. So Philosophy Day, this is on exchange.art. So cool work here by Ilya.Bliznets. Very cool kind of painterly work here. And that again is on Solana. Louis, awesome to hear from you. 2.25 years and 1,000 minutes later, it all began with the incubator and has arrived at Born to Play. The inscription for the first ever object.com mint was somewhat cryptically prescient. The journey is yet to begin, but it's a course set in motion long ago. So here, I believe, are a couple of works by Louis. I think we were just looking at a work by Louis yesterday as well. And here, the Kurt Hustle Collective posting some work here. Hilarious. And wait till you see, actually, auctions are happening, pretty significant auctions for Kurt Hustle Collective's work. First Syndrome, thank you for posting. 1960s filmmaker that experimented with light, play, rapid cuts, and texture. And Requiem de la Nuez, a new painting here. Sold out on object.com. Congratulations. Looks very cool. And Kurt Hustle, and we are done with the community. Martin Bruce, thank you, Pocobelli, for featuring and starting your amazing show with my work dinner. I'm really happy to be a part of your show. The digital artwork is available for auction for only 0.05 on Arts. Just saying. So awesome. Thank you. It's awesome. Always awesome to hear from the artists in the show. GloomTube, Pocobelli does such a good job showcasing artwork, but also articulating and dissecting the concepts inside them. Often better than the artist could. It's nice to hear. And yeah, it's great. I'm glad you appreciate it. And those trash bag window works are hilarious. From GloomTube. Check them out on Object. Ed Marola. I'm updating my website and it got me thinking about the meaning of art again. I'm very close to a conclusion, and it is something in the lines of, there is no art doesn't exist, but what are we doing here? What is all this stuff we call art? Will I be able to follow the discussion with Pocobelli last week? I got it. I understand my point of view. Art is abstract, therefore it only exists in our imagination. That's an interesting point. That's a very interesting point. So far, so good. There is no natural trait to an object that classifies it as art. Nor art like in fine arts. You could argue, I would argue, what makes humans different from animals? And I would argue the difference between humans and animals actually, and it's not necessarily black or white, but let's say call it 95% dark gray, is the ability to appreciate beauty. And this ability to appreciate beauty is arguably what civilizes us in the moral sense, right? And maybe Kant would totally agree with all this. So maybe I have inconsistencies. Let's see. But it's, when we see a beautiful action, we say that is morally good, and that's a beautiful. When someone does something nice, we go, isn't that beautiful? Ultimately, it's a thing of beauty. And when someone does something violent or terrible, we say, ooh, that's ugly. I don't like that. Right? So this idea of beauty, I think, is kind of at the core of kind of what civilizes us. And so to your point, so it not being in nature, it's kind of an interesting point. One could argue it's kind of an aspect of humanity that's different from the rest of nature. Let's just finish what Ed is saying here. I'm confused again. I believe art doesn't exist yet. I make it every day I get the chance. All day, every day when I get the chance. And when I don't feel bad. So maybe art is therapy for me, an activity. Maybe for you it's something else. Art is a job, like Santiago reminded us a few months ago. Very important. But what consists of this job? To give the public's mind a mirror where they can feel part of their time. To explain in an incomprehensible way what it is all about makes no sense. So the struggle continues. And I thought this was quite brilliant. I'm going to go quite quickly. So Ed showing just a window into the behind the scenes here of Ed's files. Look at all the work and everything. I think this is great. This is kind of like going into the artist's studio here to a certain degree and this is like a studio visit of sorts. I mean, hilariously. So interesting post from Ed. So now Cyber Mystic, also known as Marcelo Pinel. So another big sale on Tezos, sold on secondary. Thank you so much to Adir Collectors who collected 4 pieces in secondary. So more sales, kind of, I feel a glow emanating from Tezos. And for those that don't know, this is Marcelo Pinel, a very cool, psychedelic artist. I consider the heir to Alex Gray, I think, in my mind. And so... yeah, just an awesome artist there. So more sales, though, is where I'm going with this. Here's, Kurt Hustle Collective, edition of 1, now at 250 Tezos. I guess the auction just finished. So sold for 250 Tezos. Here, a die with the most likes just went for $1,500, 2,000 Tezos. Dying at Annie's Pretzel. So an early die with the most likes. This is an edition of 3. So impressive. And an early John Carroll work, Windows Still Life number 74. And this sold for 800 Tezos or $600. So some pretty interesting moves here. It seems like some collectors are starting to want to secure these early, quote unquote, grails of the Tezos ecosystem. How else would it start? And back to Haiti Rocket, just one off here. Look at this. Hypermedia Dreams, look at the date on this. November 1st to January 31st, 2016. So 2015, 2016, there's X-Copy, right? And all these artists here. So John Cates, awesomely. So again, for those that don't know Haiti Rocket, true, someone making digital art on the scene really radly, before any of this NFT, crypto business. Unknown Collector. So gonna have to go as fast as we can here. Interesting read. So Fungible, a prominent account here, basically compared Rodeo and Zora, Rodeo's platform and Zora's app, and basically said how, basically compared the two. So something to look at. Unknown Collector. Interesting read. Definitely it's fun to use, but I also, both platforms, or maybe Rodeo, but I also personally feel the free mint meta is corporate advertising much more than really helping most artists in the long run. That said, there are clearly different examples and artists paying the bills with them on Zora. And this is kind of what it all comes down to for me personally. I'm not against Rodeo if all of a sudden Rodeo is bringing 1 million collectors, and then we charge 10 cents, and then we get $100,000 for a work, or whatever the case might be, or you get 100,000 collector. But that's not, where we are right now. It's largely an unproven case. On Rodeo, you really post for free, and I wouldn't recommend giving away your art like that. They also don't advertise it like that and see it more like an Instagram where you can earn a little with normal content. So a place for I'm not sure what BTS is, but works in progress, etc. So always know what you mint and where and why. Definitely recommend checking out everything new that comes to the market and can help you pay the bills, but also be cautious about risks and pitfalls. So more pushback on rodeo, and I totally agree. I think proceed with caution. And again, I'm kind of back to that statement I was making earlier. Like, do not take for granted that you are paid for your digital art. That doesn't need to happen. Look at the music industry. I think actually this is what Nicholas Sassoon says. Collecting art for pennies is not sustainable for artists. It might be fun and engaging for other types of content, but 99% of artists will never make a living through such economic models. If you need a sad example, look at the music industry. Exactly. Don't sell yourself short. No, exactly. And there is, because it can happen. It can be Spotified. And even Fungible was mentioning how, maybe rodeo needs to at least raise the fee to $1, right? So Shadow, who of course I follow, that is a glitch on X when you're minting, or so when you're opening a whole bunch of tabs. Please be mindful what you give away for free, especially as the free mint meta has taken over the eSpace. So again, I'm not against, say, Zora, because Zora charges like $3 for the free mint or whatever it is the last I checked. And then they split that with you, as far as I remember. I mean, so you're getting $1.50, $2 from what I remember from a Zora mint. So that's not bad if all of a sudden 100 people mint your work. Some people do really well. There's a huge community on Zora. So, and they built that community first, and then they did the free mint. Interestingly, meta. And that kind of changes, like they have a huge community, kind of like an OG community there on Zora. Object 1, after a small break post-Basil, we have the pleasure to announce our next solo drop, Barbie World, the Breakdown Sessions by Sabato. So that's on Thursday, August 1st. So Sabato on Object 1. So very cool there. So I guess Object 1 is curating that. And here's Hermipe pixel art. So more examples. I think these are other risographs. As you see here, and you see how powerful, risograph makes a lot of sense to me for big pixels. It made me think that kind of 8-bit nature series I have, what would that look like as riso? Because you get the texture inside, but you still get kind of like the hard edges of the pixels because it's printed or photocopied, whatever you want to call it. Very, very interesting solution for kind of big scale or low resolution pixel art, as you see here. So quite powerful. Nice combo, Riso and pixel art. So into the works we go. I think we're doing pretty good for time. Rat Cloak, check this out. How weird is this? Your MLB team, of course, I follow the great Rat Cloak there. Your Major League Baseball team, it kind of looks like a play on a baseball card, but a la Rat Cloak here. Still playing with this almost kind of liquidity that the figures turn into here. This melting figure, distorted, transformed, kind of wild painting style here. And again, even kind of echoing here in this background structure, a baseball card kind of structure here to a certain degree, but also the mound. Very interesting work from Rat Cloak. And maybe we can actually very quickly see if we can make that bigger. So pretty rad. Very beautiful digital painting. Rat Cloak out of Ukraine. Continuing on, Rosacio, When You're Ready to Go, but Croc Breathes Fire. So a tribute to John Carroll, one of the Windows series, with other references to Debbie T, Gogo Porin, and NFT Update. You can spell the other for sure. So Rosacio meets John Carroll here in this Rosacio work. Really nice homage, I thought. Beautiful. Edition of 18, and looks like it's sold out. So nice work from Rosacio. A lot of action on this. Selling out at 5 Tezos. So edition of 18, so almost like 90 Tezos there. And here's another work from Rosacio that I missed, Gatekeeper. Digital collage from CC0. I mean, this is what, I've been given many invites to Rodeo's app, or Rodeo's platform, even the Zora app, and it's sort of, I'm not into, like I was saying last episode, like I don't come to crypto for gatekeeping. Like this is, to me, it's almost anti-crypto gatekeeping. Like, it's against the ethos of crypto that you come here, finally finance, isn't it? Isn't it a contradiction? You show up, finally, no banks, intermediaries between me and my finances. I can do what I want with it. I don't need permission from the bank. And then all of a sudden, we have all these platforms that want to gatekeep. Sorry, you have to do this. You need to invite. And it's almost a disqualifier. Almost. I love Zora and will continue to use it. But for me, it's just like, it's a turnoff. Gatekeeping in crypto. And I can mint on Bitcoin right now, finally. Like, it's really cheap right now. Let's see if it's still cheap. Still need to put out this video pronto so everybody knows what they're doing. I mean, it's 6. This is very low, the fees, and you can even go through here. Look, it was 4, 3. You know how cheap this is getting? And you're going to worry about some gated platform? And I'm going to waste my time looking for invites when I can mint on the Big Daddy ultimate blockchain? Anyway, rant over. Rosacho's title triggered me. Anyway, beautiful color from Rosacho here. Kind of collage meets digital painting with GIF animation. Beautiful color. Days Awakening, new digital painting by Uxine out of Turkey. Rad work here. A little bit of humor with the microwave and the homunculi in the microwave. Beautiful. Look at all the little details, the color. This beautiful palette that Uxine has developed, even the skull, pixelated skull. There's so much going on in here. Painted pixels, by the way. And look at the files going across. Quite crispy, too. They're quite crisp, interestingly. And here, a little bit of meta. Almost like this metaphysical painting. Here, hilariously, a kind of crucifix, cross. A lot going on here, and you gotta love the kind of ASCII, drawn out ASCII text. Just rad. Rad, sold out. Now 60 Tezos, so it's sold out at 30 Tezos on primary. And just a beautiful sketch here. I don't know if this is a preview or of a former work, but you see here, just all the detail that goes into Uxine's work with this little bit of spray or mask here, sprayed mask, not sure, in the computer, instantly recognizable as Uxine. Here is Rinnyfish, as we continue here, Tame Your Inner Critic. Great title, brand new from Rinnyfish. And let's see, this is full size. And kind of playing with the background here a little bit, doing some development on the background textures here, almost like this textured pixelated environment, kind of breaking apart the mold a little bit, the traditional look of stretching Rinnyfish's work. Interesting clouds here too, but keeping the basically psychedelic transparencies, those pastel psychedelic transparencies, just rad. Big shout out and thank you to Ile for sending me one of these. Really cool work. Eternal Recurrence by Hasdrubal Waffle. This is powerful. And listen to the music. This beautiful drone. Goes for 4 minutes. Great musician as well. And look at the originality of this work. Just a fabulous work. One assumes referring to Friedrich Nietzsche in the Eternal Recurrence. And so edition of 7. Kuala Lumpur Marathon. So other works by Hasdrubal Waffle. This time going under Cedar Plank here. So pretty edgy. We like to challenge our aesthetic expectations out here. Not easy. And again, this is what happens when you're consuming so many images. All of a sudden, this is like, oh, very interesting. Look at the speed sign. Look at how different that is. Look at these interesting colors. Daring, is what you say. Whereas if you came to this, like, early on, or if you're just getting introduced to the scene, you might be like, what on earth is that guy talking about? Kuala Lumpur Marathon. Awesome title. And here, using Fantavision, one assumes, Ode to Obe. And maybe Obi-Wan? No. Maybe a biker with a mustache? Not sure. But awesome orange frame there, too. Cool animation. And that's available for 50 Tezos on Object. From Cedar Plank. And that first one was Hasdrubal Waffle. Putting out tons of work. It's very exciting when that happens. Zozo. Beautiful peacock here. Divan Peacock. I think the divan is the name of this chair, if I'm not mistaken. More interesting audio. Love the idea. Peacock. Peacocks are so beautiful and interesting as subject matter. So how are we doing? We're doing quite good for time as we continue to cruise. Look at this brilliant work by Nuv 1914. Just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. What is going on in this bizarre flower that's almost like made of neon, looks like a neon light that's been curved over. Imagine making a physical. You could, I think, of like that bent, what they make for neon light signs. That would be some gorgeous flowers. They look gorgeous there. Again, if you're new to this scene, you might go like, not sure I understand what you guys are loving about this, but this, this is, if you follow this artist for a while, this is spectacular. This work here, look at the juxtaposition. Again, this upsetting of aesthetic expectations is kind of like a huge deal. Even this frame here, but no frame there, just interesting. Focal. Edition of 2. Interestingly, there's First Syndrome. Awesomely. New collector, I wonder. Here is an artist I hadn't seen before, Ao Fio Dwyer, if I'm pronouncing that right. This is on Rodeo, so again, we don't have the maximize. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Amelia Versace, so it's nice to have comments here, and 28 mints so far. Looks like AI. This is AI. Interesting. So very interesting AI artwork here. Beautiful color, as Amelia points out. So that could be in the AI section. Here is a hilarious work by Cider with stretching things out here. Let's see what happens when we zoom in. Look at this. Look at these wonderful painterly textures that Cider has here. Just amazing. And a little bit of humor too. And this looks like maybe a Cro-Magnon. Look at this, almost like, yeah, that looks like an ancient skeleton. There's actually it's a fascinating, what would we call that? Paleoanthropology. If you go to the British Museum, which one? It's not the British Museum. It's actually the Natural History Museum in London. That you will, there are some fantastic, you have Lucy. I mean, for example, I was just there actually a couple of months ago, 3 months ago. Here is definitely worth a visit. Here's Dan Control on Rodeo. So to Dan Control's credit, starting new platform, here's a new series, and I think that's cool. I take the same approach. If I'm going to hit a new platform, like I did say with Exchange.art, let's make a new series. How does this platform feel? Pretty cool work, too, here with combining text. Quite smart, this work. And adding a little bit of gradient, which is Dan Control's kind of, signature move here. Quite smart and a nice addition to the oeuvre, as we were discussing, using that word last episode. The Myth on Zora, The Joy of Death. Of course, The Myth, one of the great artists out of the Tezos scene, also minting on Zora. Why? Probably because, you all 6 minted so far, just listed yesterday, and already, $12 in his pocket. How many will he have by the end of the month? So continuing on, Kurt Hustle Collective, Gradients from the Olympics, banned from the Olympics. There's JNK and Terry Visual. What happened? There is a melting basketball and a broken skateboard. So I have to admit, I haven't watched any of the Olympics. I watched a couple of things on X. And the Olympic rings, I thought it was hilarious. So edition of 97 for 3 Tezos each. Haiti Rocket picking up a couple. Psychofuturist, Simple Machines for World Domination. I thought this was pretty rad. We see these kinds of animations from Psychofuturists often, kind of these almost metaphysical looking animations. Very cool version. With all of this, image, because for me, normally I would think of this as kind of like archaic or arcanic, I want to say, imagery, but not necessarily a anchor from a ship. So interesting combination of objects here. Simple Machines for World Domination, and what a title. Edition of 10, sold out. The market continues to show a wonderful resilience here. And here is Ed Marola. It's unlike anything I've seen before. Word. So interesting title, edition of 30. And here, just a small animation in this work of someone, looks like a woman, sitting against a wall. It's a cool cap, and all of the beautiful, textures and everything that go to make up an Edmarola work. And look at the contrast with the bottom here. All of this kind of complicated texture contrasting with this very simple floor. Brilliant. And look at these great cowboy boots. Look at the interesting ratio of the canvas ratio. Very interesting. Promo material for Halaha film. Not sure what that is, but we'll keep looking. Here's Santiago on X. Look at this. So pretty interesting piece here. As we see from Santiago. I am accepting this beautiful colors here. And interesting, looking like it's using Illustrator to maybe trace a lot of these textures in here. Kind of looks like vectorized. And look at that, interestingly. Kind of gets his result and then maybe puts it into Illustrator. A lot of exporting. This is quite hilarious. I assume referencing the comment from last show, not pushing any artistic boundaries that I haven't seen explored for the past quarter century at least. Hilarious. I even own one. Awesomely. Thank you. Thank you to Santiago. And I should have brought up that tweet where he's, anyways, just rad artwork here. Look how cool this is. So again, pretty, as far as I'm concerned, pretty original stuff out here. Look at this. And I love this kind of, we saw it in Nov 1914, almost like these kind of double compositions, but there is overlap here, but almost like a diptych, but not. Very, very, very interesting. Looks like art, doesn't it? Looks fabulous. Here's someone called Internet Junk, I believe, and this is on Zora. Danielle Junqueira is the name. Kind of a wild work here. Almost abstract, but not. Actually has a ton of stuff in it. And interesting border here as well, right? Not your typical rectangular border. Kind of looking like a collage of sorts. Pretty cool. 27 minted so far. And also at 111 mints equals a physical print, interestingly. So not exactly sure what that means. If you make maybe 111 mints, you get a physical print. So people having fun on Zora, already 27 minted again. Here comes it makes a huge difference, the multiplier on it being 17 cents or 10x that, right? Luciana Guerra. So a new work, edition of 1. And this is owned by Danielle King, 50 Tezos, getting a 1 of 1 Luciana Guerra out of Argentina. Maybe I will see Luciana. I am off to Argentina. Actually, show note, I am going to Argentina in about a week here. A little over a week, so shows will be happening, but sporadic for about till August 25th, 2.5 weeks. Look at how beautiful this is. These interesting artists, and I believe this is a digital work. Of course, Luciana works also physically. How are we doing? We're doing wonderful Mumble Boy. The Invention, great title. And again, a very refined process here. A image-making technology with several parts to it here, and even upside-down photos, awesome mass combining digital elements, just really super interesting and beautiful. Edition of 1, only 12 Tezos. And here, a couple of works by Braun, loving these kind of, again, this nice white breathing space here, blank dot wave. Something about the simplicity of the color of this one. The colors really work here, and this is a little bit bigger. Yeah, so just super interesting abstract here, some moving, some not. Kind of looking like there's a static layer on top of a moving layer. Here's another one. This one's on Rodeo, Drop It. And we'll see if we can make that bigger in another tab. How many minted? 85 minted. So, right, I mean, it's not nothing. If all of a sudden you're getting $15, $16, it starts to get interesting. So let's see what happens. But again, it's always like, do you really want to sell your work for less? I mean, this is the ultimate question, because if they start taking over, so to speak, the whole scene, your artists are just going to get 10x less money. I mean, this is the question, right? Maybe the key, is if you want to use it, maybe as I think as Unknown Collector was saying, you just don't go exclusively And again, I wish everybody the best, but it is hard to get behind and excited about something where all of a sudden artists get way less for their money. Again, it's don't take it for granted. It's kind of the mantra here on this show. Look at Sui Soichi. Frenzy Whistle. 0.011 ETH, open edition for another 5 days. 1 minted so far. I thought this was a brilliant, brilliant work. This jester of sorts here. This is a super interesting, cool work. Playing the flute with this kind of radical, GIF style here, kind of pixelated, hand-drawn animation is what it looks like. Cobra Corral, Sabato, putting out a beautiful work here. And again, playing with this awesome contrast, a new contrast, I call it, between moving and still. Arguably, commonly newer contrasts here with the moving snake and the static images in the background. And interesting, again, this background is so interesting and cool subject matter. Also, here is Ui. Touch Me Without Using Your Hands from upcoming collection So Sad, So Beautiful. Illustration here, kind of a surreal illustration. Let's continue. Getting weird freezes on the computer here. Caesar, I Exist. So this was actually on the object homepage and edition of 1. Someone was mentioning that. And so kind of a very contemporary illustration here, right? Could be in any store that you walk into today, and there are works in the background, and interesting work here from his 21st Earth Song, Caesar, July 30th, self-portrait, interestingly, 21 Tezos, edition of 1. Here is Nesva, Recuerdos de Verano, and quite a cool actual animation here. Kind of a moving piece. So not sure what that means, but sold out at 6 Tezos. And here, I thought this was quite brilliant too, the early stage of the piece. Because, one of my favorite kind of ways of working is you have gray so that you can use white. And then white starts looking like white on gray. It's just gorgeous, as you see here in the splashes. Right, it has its own effect. So anyways, cool to see that too. Here is Sumi Reyusi Daisy. So interesting work from Sumi, kind of more illustrative, and I think this is a friend of hers. Interesting piece with the water, and the duck looks like a pool. And the duck is crying, Daisy, so I think a friend of hers. So maybe a homage of sorts to her friend. This is 500 Tezos, edition of 1. Sebastero Onion. So edition of 15, and here just interesting kind of suggestive onion here. And look at how huge this is. A little bit of texture there in the leaf, interesting shadow, kind of a surreal illustration from Sebastero. And a few selling, Danielle King and Cody of Houston picking up one. Here is Katerina Create, Sandy Beach. And here, so a little bit more beach imagery we're seeing here. So just hanging out at the beach, beautiful umbrella and very fun water. Love the curly waves there. And almost all moving except for the sky and the blanket. Interesting contrast. Here's Orateur, interesting piece on Instagram, as you see here. So kind of a surreal, it kind of fits into a whole style like Boo Boy and a few other artists. Here's another illustration, a lot of illustration this show. Jordy Gandel, Testing My Beliefs, kind of an old school Tezos artist. Interesting, always kind of often does these city blocks here with different variations on it, different colors. Continuing on, OMG, I Drawed It. Also a OG Tezos account. You look at the art and it looks at you, so you look at it and it looks at you. So another interesting illustration here reflecting on art, and you see kind of some of it moving, some of it not. Just cool contrast, interesting floor there. Edition of 51, now 10 Tezos. And selling a ton. Has a huge, look at this huge collector base. And that's just not even all of them. Here's Jake Studios, edition of 1. Encanto from New York. This came out maybe a week ago. This went for only 14 Tezos. For this 1 of 1 from Jake Studios. Again, look at this kind of surreal animation here. Look at all those ears and tattoos. Just interesting piece. Here's another one, Jake Studios, Larawan. This is on Zora. And so playing with a couple of ducks here, playing around in this piece, interestingly. And there is, I think, Jake. If I had to guess, maybe those are the kids. I don't know. Cool work there. This is not a paid advertisement. So Jake Studios, I think, putting his own work in a TV on, so kind of using the platform to his own ends, Rodeo. Maybe not wearing 12 mints. That's pretty good. And also some, so who knows? Who knows? Let's continue. Daniel W., Arrival. So kind of almost a sci-fi metaphysical work from Daniel W. Interesting eye and what looks like, is that a geodesic dome? I'm not sure. It almost looks like UFOs in the background here, not sure. And the child with the long shadow, and interesting over there too. So interesting piece, edition of 1, 40 Tezos. Out of Brazil, we had Daniel W. on the Spaces maybe 6 months to a year ago. Sahara Sunset, this is Element Lee. And we are going to have to start to hurry, but we're almost done here. So interesting how Element Lee putting out a ton of work here, kind of a landscape in this case. Interesting light. Here's eBoy Arts, eBoy Wholesale. So I believe this is a real pioneer of pixel art here. So this is on, we looked at the physical here the other day. And here, playing with this kind of 45-degree angle cube as a canvas, so to speak, or as a setting, or a template. Here is, I believe, Ugo Digi. Ugo Digi, look at this beautiful work. This is fabulous. I don't think we've looked at this. So simple. Again, if we weren't trying to be so challenging with the newspaper, the imagination could have easily started with this gorgeous, again, part of it moving, part of it not. Nice rainbow, again, contrasting with the black. Even this awesome kind of RGB, cord for the mouse. Beautiful work. This on a Comp Arts, another great piece. People bringing their A game to a Comp Arts, aren't they? Andre Oliveira Cebola. Interesting work here by Andre. Cool, kind of red and black. You gotta love red and black. Pixel art work, ZRT CT RS306, edition of 10 for only $333. And this is Pixel Fool. Some graffiti and we are done. So not exactly sure. I think this is just like a piece, a cool piece. I find just kind of interesting. Mint on Bitcoin for almost free at this point. Secure System, this is 8-Bit Kit, I think posted by August Ground here. What is the name? I thought it was Kit Velo, maybe, on X. Interesting piece, isn't it? Let's just zoom in a little bit as we speed through this show. Interestingly, Yuri J's kind of early stage of the process, seemingly, not necessarily, but I think this is a work in progress, kind of working quite well in this part of the show over here. So interesting. Looks like Yuri J, this is kind of a window into Yuri J's process here. So very interesting and cool. Here is, I think this is also Andre Oliveira, but I can't get the name here. Sabo Lander, this is on Rodeo, and this is generative art, pixel art, 13 minted so far. So interesting, cool piece. And here is François Gamma, OXP. I thought pretty cool work from François Gamma, just a cool, different looking, minimal work, a different kind of rendering. Edition of 20, none sold so far, 3 Tezos. Native Ed, flashy composition, open edition for only 11 Tezos cents. Pretty cool. Pretty cool kind of animated abstract. And here is Acid Boy. Let me just fix this. And this is on X. So psychedelic animated abstract from Acid Boy. Here is Sean Luke. That's what I'm trying to do. Try Shuffle. And here you see another classic Sean Luke piece. Interesting frame here, and then just an abstraction, animated abstract inside, as well as a frame animated. And again, selling 55 Tezos, $40 each, edition of 7. Huge collector base there. Silva Santu's Glitchfall. So interesting from Silva Santu's here, getting more abstract in the Nintendo Glitch ROM. Looks like a waterfall. As we continue through our journey here, and here's John Cates on Rodeo 12. And 5 minted so far. And here, I think I want to say I've seen this work before. Just a cool glitch here, edgy glitch from John Cates, the pioneer of the glitch western genre. Inavare with a cool banana. I don't know if I've seen this one before. Cool analog video glitch here. Nice combination, nice subject, and everything. Breakthrough from LB. Edition of 10 for 5 Tezos, so new LB work. Again, analog video glitch. Kind of looks like a figure here, but mostly abstract. And here, DJ Kiro on Rodeo, and here, one minted and another video painting. Cool abstract painting here from Kiro. And here's another one. This one's on Zora, 17 minted. So you see a little comparison there. An interesting Game Boy in the background there, video painting from Kuro. Very cool. And here is Klaus on Rodeo. And here you see a little bit 30 minted, interestingly. So there it is. So different variations. So Klaus bringing a different kind of work to Rodeo. Of course, we know Klaus from the compositions here of 251. Here we are at, kind of soothing work here. Beautiful color as ever. And that sold to Dr. Version for 21 Tezos. And here is Walk with a digital artwork, this time natively digital artwork. And I believe, again, this is from the Pokemon card series. Drowsy is the title. And that sold for 3 Tezos. Good deal. And here's RJ doing some AI work, I believe. I'm not positive on that, though. Game 20. So putting out a ton of work. These are editions of 1. Maybe it's AI that eventually gets pixelated, or maybe it isn't AI at all. But I kind of felt like it looked like AI. Maybe it's generative art. Here's another one. Not sure what's going on here. But quite a few released here at 13 Tezos each, and has been playing with AI, so I wonder if it's AI. Here is Bidala in the Wild number 5 experimental digital collage and drawing base of my old NFTs. So this is actually experimental digital collage. I thought this was AI. Amazing. So this, kind of like these wild masks that you see on Mumble Boy's work. Look at that. Amazing. Bidala, edition of 7, 10 Tezos, and that is on secondary, selling out at 3 Tezos only. Here is Santiago again. I don't think we saw this one. So another thing that makes Santiago's work persuasive is the consistency in tackling, like he'll put out 30 or 40 or more works when he's tackling a certain idea, a certain process, a certain aesthetic, image-making invention that he's doing. He'll really tackle it, which helps add to the credibility of the situation. I would argue here's Lily Illo in the closing minutes here, mother figure. Kind of has a Pietà look to it, doesn't it? So cool AI painting by Lily Illo, again using older versions, I believe, of Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and DALL-E. This gorgeous AI artwork by Tukes, who we heard from in the comments there. Beautiful. I mean, look at this. So original. Only colors bleed. Only AI would have made this, I would argue. Von Doyle with, what is Virgil the Aeneid? Venus could bear no more of his laments and broke in on his tale of endless hardship. The Wasted Venus. So here, I think this is mostly AI. AI in the tags here. So surreal AI from Von Doyle. And here's Filippo Francocci as we go into the physicals here. In the closing couple of minutes. So interesting abstract, I believe, from Filippo Francocci, again using random and then refining it from the random. This is gorgeous. A monotype. Interesting. Printmaking from the Carpen on Thomas Carpenter on Instagram. Very cool. How many followers does this guy have? 8,500, pretty good. Look at how great this is. Very nice piece. Nice color there, too. It's not gallery, continuing to deliver. Watchlist swag is the account. And look at this work. Hilarious, kind of. Someone with what looks like a beer, but maybe it's just a drink. And, on their phone, so not paying attention at all to the road. Speed limit 25, your speed 60. So a delinquent driver here as someone is crossing the road and a little girl on a bike. So little anti-driver commentary here. Who can't relate to that one, though? Stefan Schwarzer, we've been following a lot here, doing really well, I believe out of Germany. And this is at the Academy of Fine Arts in Leipzig. So nice piece here. And here is Abelberger with another work on paper, I believe. Mixed media on paper / wood. And nice contrast between the color, the drawing. Again, you kind of got this white on the colored background here. Very nice, or background color highlighting the white. Girl with pink cap. Sani Josbeck, as you see here. The artist, oil pastel and mixed media. So this is on object. So a physical artwork here. Interesting piece. Edition of 50 for 150, selling a whole bunch. If you're starting, it's a good way to go, is just make it cheap. You're much more likely to start getting collectors and getting people interested in your work. Another McDonald's work by Noah Verrier. My oil painting of the Oreo McFlurry. I think these are brilliant. Because at least you're getting the contrast between very modern imagery and, traditional oil painting. And here is Die with the Most Likes, and with some poetry, we might call it, or with some writing. Beautiful painting. Look at this great work in the background here, with doing a really good job of developing his physical art skills. I believe this is acrylic. Really beautiful. Doing just such a hard worker. And here's Walk with Andy Warhol. I'm not sure if I've seen this one before, so cool portrait of Andy Warhol. And Chill, love it. Love it from Walk as well. And that is your show, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully I see you on the spaces. Until next time, take care.